through both of them, put down what we have due on each. There's a little bit of discrepancy in Professor Thompson's class. Like, he had one that was, it said the 24th on one, but then when you see it on the actual weekly schedule, it said a different day. And I remembered writing in my notes.
I think somebody asked about it, didn't they?
Anyway, I put the earlier date on it.
Okay.
Well,
Just
it's easier to have it in earlier and
Yeah.
say, oh, you got it in a week early then.
No call.
Whoops.
And I really think it was like a matter of days or something. But, anyway. So I wondered, what I was wondering is, do we need to kind of stay in the rotation we're staying in with the 3-week thing? And then just say, oh, but for this one, like on this video, Reed, you're gonna be the lead on that, and to get this team report in or whatever. Or do we want to just hold it to the 3-week thing, and if your thing falls within that, you know, you do that, or, I don't know, when I was looking at it, I thought, there's a lot, and I kind of liked what the second year team said, that you might look at each project and say,
I think
I
that's a
specialize
great
in
idea.
that.
And just in doing the projects, because if with like a 3-week, there can be. I mean, I think there's gonna be
there
times
could
where we're having
yeah,
2
there
or
could
3
be,
different
look at this
assignments
week,
going on
for example.
in that 3 week, and how can you effectively be a team lead
Exactly.
on 3 or 4 different
Exactly,
things?
that's how I felt. So, I really like the idea that we kind of say,
Just take it as it comes.
I guess we could, and that might be a better idea, because I was like, really? How am I supposed to go through and say, well, I think
Yeah.
you'd be best at that? I think we really ought to, when we look at the project, say, you know what,
Can I take a
I
poll?
can do that, I can take the lead on this one, or we can nominate somebody to do it, or,
Yeah.
you know, it might be a more awkward time for somebody at a different time, and
Right.
so, but I thought it would be good for us to at least see what we have, like look at the month of October. We have,
Oh yeah, it's Yom Kippur, we have to celebrate that one.
I just stole the template off of Google Docs, that came with it, but anyways, we've got the first video due, and then the personal reflection number 1 is due in Professor Thompson's class.
Is that a team? thing? It's just
Personal, I
individual?
put personal if it was personal.
Oh, okay.
So you have your personal oral briefing, but we have the video, which is a team one. Gotcha.
Okay.
This is a personal application project
Okay.
proposal that's due for number 2. So we have a proposal in September.
So one team thing due in October, right? Then these are both
There's a
personal?
little bit more of October. I think there's,
Oh, both videos are due then. Okay. And then,
Yeah. and your exam for Professor Thompson's.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember everybody's email address. Does everybody have a Gmail account? I know
Do you have
everybody
Gmail?
does.
I've been sending it to your Granite District one.
That's the email I use to log into my Gmail account.
Oh, really?
I guess you can
Cool.
use.
So it works.
Because if we all have Gmail, maybe one thing we can do is impose this online.
It
Like
is
a
online.
group-
It's
Oh, it is?
on.
Okay.
We
I
already
don't know
put
if
it on.
we done this
So,
Google Calendar.
that's why I was gonna suggest, you know, if we have days that are easier or not, we could get on this calendar and say, this is a blackout day for me, I can't meet this day, or I could meet this day.
Or maybe you can't meet somewhere, or but you could
Yeah.
conference in
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. Exactly, exactly.
So using this to schedule meetings as well?
We could do that.
That's a good idea.
I think it's,
Thanks for setting that up.
Yeah.
Be my
Is
guess.
that a lot of work?
no, it really wasn't. I just pulled the template up off of it and then just plugged in what it already was and plugged it in.
So we're getting rid of the 3-week thing, and we're just gonna we're gonna go
Talk about
through
it as a
and
team and then
I
decide.
think it's gonna be one of
okay,
those things.
based on skills, preferences.
You know how we come to that point where we amend our charter? I think we're there.
We're there,
We're
yeah.
there.
We're already to our First Amendment.
Which is okay, I think it's okay to see, you know, whoops, well, we didn't know, and we know now that's not gonna work for us, so.
Constitution had that too, didn't it?
Free speech, already free speech. Next one's my favorite one.
Oh yeah, West Women better vote too, yeah, that's pretty good.
This is some good beef, Reed.
Those Chick-fil-A cows are probably not very happy about it.
Sometimes it's hard for me to tell the difference between these.
Hello, James, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good.
So, I'm guessing
You keeping things
Renee's
together over there?
cantaloupe is gone.
Renee brought cantaloupe?
Yeah.
Sorry, we ate it, no, just kidding, we didn't.
Yeah, it looks like it's about to get busy here real quick.
I know, actually, as I started going through it, and it was probably the frame of mind and what time of night and everything, but I was like, oh my
A
goodness.
little overwhelming.
We're here. We're here. It's nice to know I have a team. Really
Mhm.
appreciated that comment in, I think it was one somebody's memoir. It really is nice to know that we have a team.
Sure.
You know?
Makes it a little more bearable.
Mhm.
Does anyone want?
Anybody want salad?
I'm good.
Good.
I was asking Thompson about something that book is talking about is like our values are clarified when they're challenged. So like my wife and I are kind of at the point like, where do we settle, you know, one of these days? And like on the one hand, like I want values to be challenged, but then on the other hand, you want, you know, to be the
Stand up.
people who share your values, right?
Mhm.
So where do you find the balance? And did you seek out? I mean, even Salt Lake County, Utah County.
Do you run on the assumption that these are dirty?
Oh, actually, are those the
Those are
plastic
pretty clean.
things?
Yeah.
No, those are clean. So just put it in the sink for right now. For tomorrow.
So anyway, even
I got watermelon juice on the fridge, but I didn't get it. I'm like, oh, those look kind of clean.
That just means,
Have a little Professor Thompson.
well, you know, he talked about he grew up in Boise, where LDS kids were a minority, and because he felt that because his values were challenged more, it was he could kind of find his teenage uniqueness in being a member of the church. Whereas he talks about his son, who's the majority, so he has to define his uniqueness a different way, like growing his hair out long or something like that. And so I don't know, you know. Do we move to Las Vegas or do we move to suburban Orem, Utah?
Well, it's hard speaking for somebody that just moved. I'd give you my insight. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's just what we ended up doing. Our
More roast?
previous ward was, we had two families in our ward boundaries that were not LDS. And the one actually was LDS, but they weren't active. So I mean, you look at that pool and
Wow.
we felt like we lived in Zion, literally. I mean, there were some problems and a few things, but for the most part, it was a wonderful place to live. And we found ourselves now moving to another area. It's still great, but we have to do a lot more work to same level of expectation. And
Really?
one of my former bishops from that other ward, when we decided we were moving, he said that sometimes he said sometimes anchor families get sent to different places to help the church grow. Not necessarily to say we were the anchor
Right.
by any means in that ward, but
Right.
we've been able to see that with our kids having an influence on new friends and
Yeah.
new acquaintances, and they're able to share the gospel, but because of the way they were brought up at an early age in that environment,
Mm.
now they feel empowered
Yeah.
versus, I don't know, they're the only kid in their high school that's a member of the church. You know?
And the flip side of that could be, depending on the child, having been raised in that environment and then you go to one where you aren't, depending on the type of training and how you come with that, but it could be that their values now become challenged and they have to think, shoot,
Yeah.
this is how I've always thought,
Yeah.
so now where do I go, you know? So,
Probably depends a lot on the kid.
oh,
Just the
it does.
temperament and.
Yeah. The three
That's
girls, all three of them have been offended by a church member, you know. And they've all reacted different ways to it. You know, one is like, well, I still wanna go to church and, you know, my testimony means more to me than that, so she's continued to go. The other one who has not. So it really does depend on how you choose where you decide to draw your line, you know.
I think
And every kid is different.
no matter what
Yeah.
you choose to do, as long as your core home environment is a safe haven, that you'll be successful, no matter what.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Downtown San Francisco, that's where we're going.
Good luck. I was thinking about traffic.
So good. Thank you too.
When you're talking about being the anchor, I'm like, oh, that was